like, share, subscribe. Shouts out to the Lions Den community. And don't y'all forget to subscribe to the podcast show. Link will be pinned in the top of the chat.
Just name the channel who could bang with us. I'll prove that you are smoking dust. GTV Media is top notch in this game, y'all. You failures only have yourself to blame, y'all. Ticket TV and a weapons make you suckers cry. Why don't you close your channel, crawl into a hole and die? Shout out to those who love our movement, no, we'll never flop until you get your mouth off LGBT. We are the underground out the job. We built this whole thing by ourselves, no in y'all. Independence start with self-preservation. If you can't take care of self, then how can you build a nation, y'all? Yup, we got that merch for the ladies and yes, we even got that merch for the babies and we got appliances and everything that you will need. We got some banging songs that make anemic haters bleed.
All right, you guys. So salute to everybody tapped in the building. Appreciate all of y'all love, honor, and respect everybody in here, man. And let's get into this video, man. I appreciate everybody that's gonna be in the building, and let's chop it up, man. Wow, you guys. Wow, man. Got an update on you guys with the situation going on with Justin Combs, an actor, Cuba Gooding Jr., who are, according to reports, matter of fact, y'all press 2 if y'all can hear me. Let me get a mic check real quick first. Make sure y'all can hear me so I don't get into this video, get started, and then y'all tell me y'all can't hear me, man. Let me get a mic check, man. Can y'all hear me? Press 2. Y'all can hear me? All right, bet. All right, bet. Salute, everybody. Yeah, y'all subscribe to the channel, man. And make sure, I'm going to drop a link to my other channel. Y'all make sure y'all subscribe to my other channel. Everybody subscribe to this channel, listen to this channel, because y'all missing a lot of my content, and it's on my other channel, man. A lot of the content that I don't cover on this channel is on my other channel. So make sure y'all do that too, man. But I'm going to give y'all that in a second. Let me tell y'all what's going on with this situation with Diddy's son, Justin Combs, and actor Cuba Gooding Jr. Now, according to the reports out of allhiphop.com, it says that Diddy's son, Justin Combs, and Cuba Gooding Jr. are reportedly in hiding. Now, apparently, one of the accusers of them and also Diddy, Lil Rod, has now went to the newspapers in order to find these guys. Now, according to the reports, it says Justin Combs, and shout out to allhiphop.com, it says Justin Combs and Cuba Gooding Jr. are accused of dodging the law, Lil Rod's lawsuit against Sean Diddy Combs, and he now wants to serve them through newspaper ads. It goes on to say that Justin Combs and Cuba Gooding Jr. are accused of ducking service in a high-profile federal lawsuit tied to Sean Diddy Combs, leading the plaintiff, Rodney Lil Rod Jones Jr., to seek court approval to notify them through the newspaper ads in 2 of the nation's largest publications. Jones, a music producer, filed a sweeping civil suit against Diddy in February 2024, alleging trafficking, distribution, and other serious misconduct. Before I go on, I want to tell people this. I've seen a lot of people saying online, somebody saying online, they all those lawsuits and those things got thrown out, they got dismissed. That's not true. Lil Rod's lawsuit is allowed to move on. Only certain parts of his lawsuit got dismissed, but main parts of his lawsuit are moving forward, and it's going to discovery now, meaning that his evidence is going to be admissible. Now, if you guys actually saw the lawsuit, the lawsuit that he put out against Diddy, I told you guys it was like a federal indictment was written up, and in that lawsuit, he put a lot of evidence, photos, and he also said that he had audios, videos, which I believe, and most people believe, are going to be used in Diddy's criminal case, because now the feds have actually, in that last write-up, Diddy's lawyers wrote that the lawyer, Tyrone Blackburn, it kind of seems like they're using, I guess, information or evidence against Diddy in the upcoming trial that he has listed or he has provided the feds and also listed in certain lawsuits against Diddy Combs. So this thing is serious, man. And so now Diddy's son, Justin Combs, and Cuba Gooding Jr., who he actually provided a picture of. Now, I don't know if you guys saw that picture, and I haven't even finished reading the rest of this article yet, but I don't know if you guys saw this picture, but Lil Rod actually put that picture in the lawsuit. You understand what I'm saying? He actually put that picture in the lawsuit. Now, that picture he put in the lawsuit, he put a picture where, you know, he said that, you know, Cuba Gooding Jr. was, now Cuba Gooding Jr. has already been accused of certain things, right? But he put a picture in a lawsuit where he said that Cuba Gooding Jr. You know, he's saying that they, you know, I don't even want to say it, man. I don't feel. Listen, man, it's some real nasty things that's being alleged that's been going on. Y'all know this, right? So everybody know this pretty much from watching. You know what I'm saying? The weirdo activity that's being alleged. You know what I'm saying? But Lil Rod came through with pictures and videos. So Lil Rod has provided pictures, videos, and other information to not only the feds, but in this actual lawsuit. Now, things in the lawsuit that he proved to show that Cuba Gooding Jr. was there and touching on him, I guess, and whatever. Because remember, Cuba Gooding Jr. already had a different allegation against him, but he denied that, if I'm not mistaken, was this picture right here. And this is one of the pictures, if I'm not mistaken, that was actually put in the lawsuit that Lil Rod had, where you can see Cuba Gooding Jr., you know, again, that Lil Rod is sitting there smiling like, but he said he felt, I guess he felt a certain way. I'm not sure. Now, if I'm looking, I'm trying, it's another hand. Now, I don't know whose hand that is. That's Lil Rod's hand. Now, if you look at that picture, Cuba Gooding Jr.'s right hand is over his shoulder. His left hand is kind of down near, I don't want to say it, but kind of near a beefcake area. I don't want to really say it. Now, that looks like that's Lil Rod's hand that's pointing to himself. Now, you can see Lil Rod got a bad boy hat on, but it's like his hand is pointing to himself. Now, I'm going to tell y'all something. In this picture, many people going to say, well, Lil Rod, you were smiling. What you mean? Lil Rod might say, hey, man, look, bro, you know, better be smiling than, you know, deal with the consequences, allegedly. You know what I'm saying? If I don't, you know? So this is one of the pictures that Lil Rod put in a lawsuit. Now, the other pictures he put are so graphic, I can't even put these pictures on YouTube. The other pictures that was in the lawsuit, they were so graphic, you know, because those pictures had on the floor and everything else. So, you know, those pictures, and then he has actual video footage. Now, the video footage, apparently, they're saying it was sent to the feds. Now, Diddy's lawyers are arguing in court. His lawyers are saying in court that video footage is so damning. They're saying that, not video footage, whatever the new information is that's been provided by the feds in the new superseding indictment, they're saying that information, Diddy's lawyers have been saying that information is so damning that if it's allowed to be admissible in court, first of all, he's saying that the trial may be delayed for years, because he said they're going to need years to investigate. And he said that the information and the allegations are so damning that Diddy won't even have a fair trial. He's basically saying that they went into Diddy's private life, and they're basically admitting they got so much shit that it's disgusting what's going to be laid out here in court. So basically, everybody feels like in court there's going to be Kid Cudi that's going to testify. You're going to have witnesses that testify that they saw Diddy blow this man's car up, is what's being alleged. Also, we already know Cassie's going to testify. Also, there's a slew of other people that's going to testify. I believe one of the guys who was in that documentary, Diddy, people asked for the Warner's brothers to present. They subpoenaed, they wanted information from that documentary. The dude who went on there and showed those private text messages from that girl, from that lady, about the things they needed and the different materials and things they needed that he showed in those text messages. I believe he's going to testify. I believe it's a rack of people including, I believe, a couple of celebrities, which is why I think that their names are going to be hidden that are going to testify. Now, Lil Rod has so much video footage and information. There are other celebrities, in my opinion, that's names going to be brought up in court that you guys are going to see because based off that information. So Diddy's lawyers, they want all of that information. And this is why I told y'all, these people don't read the paperwork. Read Diddy's filing in the court. His filing, defendant Sean Combs, his motion was to exclude this rule that allows them to bring this type of evidence in court. Now, what am I talking about? They were able to bring this evidence. Let me say this to y'all again. They were able to bring this evidence in other trials. They were able to bring this type of evidence in the Harvey Weinstein case. This is how Harvey Weinstein got convicted, because what did they do? They brought other witnesses and people in who had similar type of allegations against him as corroborators to the allegations that they already had. You understand what I'm saying? So under Rule 413, this is what they're trying to do now in this case. So now they've presented, when everybody was saying, oh, this superseding indictment ain't nothing. Yeah, it is. Because in the superseding indictment, now they've come with a whole new slew of information. And I told you guys, and let me say this, I didn't say this, but Law and Crime brought this up. And in Diddy's writing, and one of the captions in the writing, in this writing, it did speak about in one section unders, but it didn't say whether or not they're going to talk about that in the court. Law and Crime, they hinted to whether and question whether or not that's one of the things that's going to be used in court. So this thing is fit to get real funky, and I'm gonna show y'all. But let me get back to this before I get back to the other part, right? But read that part on your screen. So this part on your screen, this is what Diddy's lawyers wrote. It said the court should require the government to try the case it charged and prove. The government said this is the case we charged. It's all under the RICO Act. And this is the part I was telling all these buffoons. See, let me tell y'all something. When Cassie Ventura, everybody was talking about, oh, what did Cassie tape got something to do with it? Cassie tape got everything to do with it. I've been told you guys, but y'all don't want to listen. The Cassie tape, what does it have to do with it? The Cassie tape is going to show a lot of things. The Cassie tape is going to show, one, that it's on video footage that this nigga beat that ass. That's the first thing that Cassie tape is going to show. The video footage that he beat that ass. So that's the first thing that the Cassie tape is going to show. The second thing the Cassie tape is going to show is, right? It's going to show that these different pictures that I'm going to show you guys right now in just a second of Cassie Ventura, these different pictures I'm going to show y'all, it's going to show that, oh, damn, well, this shit may have really been something bigger than what we originally thought. Because now when you actually have video footage, and now when you go back and you look at these other aspects and things, you understand what I'm saying? Which is, a shot to the girl, Katie Shaley, she showed some of those pictures, and this girl hit her. She right on point. But once you go look at these other things, right? Now you start putting this stuff together, and the feds put this stuff together. They say, oh, shit. Like, okay, all of these things, now y'all are going to see. So I want y'all to look at this right here, right? Go back to the video with Cassie. Well, we saw Cassie. Everybody was like, oh, Diddy's not getting charged for that. Yes, he is. It's under the RICO Act. It was right there. It's a part of the beatings. All they did was lump all this stuff in and charge that stuff under the RICO Act. The same thing with the freak off. They're alleging the sexual assault under the freak offs and all this other stuff that they're alleging. So what the law has done is they have bunched all these things together, which is legal, right? They bunched all these things together. And now what they've done is the chickens have come home to absolutely roost. And these are the facts of what I'm saying to y'all, and there ain't no question around it. And so now what I'm finna show y'all, right? And again, it's now it all comes back to make sense. This right here comes back to make sense. Let me show y'all. I'm gonna show y'all this right now. So all these little things I told that we've been talking to you guys about, Now it comes back to where now this makes sense. That's Cassie. That's Cassie, right? Now that was supposed to be where she allegedly fell on the ATV and stuff like this. Blase, blase, blah. Right? But now, when these people get up there and testify, and now you put that Diddy beating tape on video, and that tape is admissible, and you have that video, and now when people testify and show these different pictures that y'all are seeing, now this turns this case all the way upside down, because what is this going to do? Show an alleged history of these things. So when the feds say, oh, it was control and abuse and all these other things, now you see these pictures, you see that black eye, you see these pictures, and that's why I said a lot of these dudes ain't men, they punks running around here, because they don't have no stand up against this type of foolishness, right? So when you see that cut that will never be removed above her right eye, never be removed, that's permanently there, right? And when it's time to testify in court and they use that video footage, this is the reason why. Because so when they talk about all these other incidents that maybe weren't on video, now that video footage, that's the rock bottom. See what I'm saying? So now let's get back to this part, what we originally came in here cooking on. And that is these allegations right here on your screen, right? So now let's get back to this, because this is extremely important. So it says Lil Rod Jones, it says, who's a music producer, filed a sweeping civil suit against Diddy in February of 2024. It says alleging sex trafficking, distribution, and other serious misconducts. The complaint, amended in March, added Cuba Gooding Jr. and Justin Combs as co-defendants. This thing's finna get funky, y'all. Accusing them of playing roles in the alleged abuse and cover-up. Cuba Gooding Jr. is accused of groping Rodney Jones on a yacht rented by Diddy in January of 2023. According to the lawsuit, Diddy left Jones with the actor, or with the producer, who allegedly assaulted him without his consent. Justin Combs, Diddy's oldest son, right, is named for allegedly helping facilitate some of the activities that are described in the complaint, despite multiple attempts to serve both men at known addresses in California and Florida. Jones's legal team says they've hit a wall. It says process servers tried to reach Cuba Gooding Jr. at 3 separate California addresses. At one location, building staff confirmed he no longer had representation there. At another, neighbors said they'd never seen him. At a third, it was outdated, with neighbors reported he moved out years ago. A skip trace investigation also failed to turn up a current address. Justin Combs has also proven elusive. Process servers were blocked by security at a gated Los Angeles apartment complex. At a Beverly Hills address, they were told that he had moved with no forwarding information. And also it says that Miami Beach, guards locked gates, thwarted attempts to serve him at 2 Star Island properties. It says even a process server who successfully served Christian Combs, Justin's brother, at the same compound couldn't reach Justin. Jones' legal team argues that both men are intentionally avoiding service, noting that Cuba Gooding Jr. even acknowledged the lawsuit publicly on a podcast, but has refused to engage with the legal process. Now, the podcast they're talking about is the PDB podcast. The PDB podcast has been blowing up. That's the same podcast that Terrence Howard went on and blew this whole Diddy thing off the lid, right? Well, the PDB podcast, they interviewed Cuba Gooding Jr. too, and they asked him about these things, if I'm not mistaken. So he's on the PDB podcast speaking about this as well. But it also goes on to say that Lil Rod Jones' legal team argues that both men are intentionally avoiding service, noting that Cuba Gooding Jr. even acknowledged the lawsuit publicly on a podcast, but has refused to engage with the legal process. It goes on to say, with traditional methods exhausted, Jones is asking the court to allow service by publication under New York law, which permits alternative service when conventional efforts have failed. His attorneys argue that publishing notices in the New York Times and the LA Times is a reasonable way to reach both men, given their public profiles and ties to New York and California. Without court approval for this method, Jones says he'll be unfairly blocked from moving forward with serious claims involving sexual assault and trafficking against them. A judge has yet to rule on a motion for service by publication. Now, he has, again, I've already told you guys, remember, Cuba Gooding Jr. had already been accused in a whole different situation he was dealing with. So Cuba Gooding Jr. had a whole different situation. Now he got this situation to deal with. And this dude, he not only got pictures, he got videos. He got video footage that he entered in evidence. And not only did he enter these photos and videos and evidence, he sent this to the feds. He sent this to the feds. Now, I will say one thing. And that picture right there, that dude looked crazy. Lil Rod's in here smiling. I wouldn't be smiling. I'll tell you that right now. There ain't no way in the world you got your hand near my beefcake and I'm in there smiling. There ain't no way in the world, man. Now, I don't care. You know, like I said before, man, if he's in fear and he feel like, because everybody's like, oh, they look like they enjoyed it. Yeah, if you in fear, you understand what I'm saying? If they feel like they're going to get this. Now, see, Cassie got a smile on her face. You think she enjoyed that shit? Oh, she looked like she thoroughly enjoyed it. Some people smile to stop from crying. Some people smile to stop from crying. Right? Some people make bad decisions to get themselves in certain situations they can't ever get out of. And they then regret those decisions that they had to make in order to get to where they had to go. But I want to show you guys something. Shout out to my girl, Katie Shayla. Y'all go subscribe to her YouTube channel. She just hit 100,000 subscribers. Salute to that girl. She's doing great work. I want y'all to hear a couple of things because this is going to blow this entire thing up. I'm telling y'all, this new writing that Diddy's lawyers put out here and this new write-up, this is going to be absolutely explosive because Diddy's lawyers wrote a 39-page write-up. And in that 39-page write-up, they went crazy over all the new evidence. So that's why I tell you guys, don't never listen to people on YouTube who come on here and say, oh, man, I don't think the new indictment's about anything. What do you mean? You didn't even read it. If you didn't read it, how you know it's not about nothing? Diddy's lawyers read it, and Diddy's lawyers is going ballistic about it. These dudes come on here and they give y'all information and I don't even read. They just say, oh, I don't really think it's about. You ain't reading. You ain't reading the paperwork, dog. If you ain't go read the indictments, if you haven't read the paperwork, you can't explain and talk about this shit. You can't come out here saying people capping and you ain't did your due diligence and read the paperwork. It's mind blowing to me that people would do this. And the biggest networks do this. The biggest networks do this. I see the Breakfast Club, Charlamagne, and them all the time. I don't believe all that. Man, you got celebrities saying this stuff happened to them. Right at the same pattern that normal people are making these allegations. And I'm going to tell y'all something. Something's getting ready to blow off the lid because I'm going to tell y'all something. There's another lawsuit that's lingering out there. Didn't tell y'all this. There's another lawsuit that's lingering out there that the judge, shout out to the Diddy docket, that the judge just ruled on. And the judge said that the person who filed that lawsuit has to come public. But what's the difference between that lawsuit and all those other lawsuits that's out here? This is one of those lawsuits, y'all, that also involves another celebrity that has not been named yet. I wonder what celebrity is in that lawsuit. Let me repeat myself again. There is another lawsuit from 2022 that involves another celebrity. The celebrity's name has not been revealed yet, but the judge has just demanded that the person who filed that lawsuit reveal their name. Now, the other day, I told y'all, another black man by the name of Dexter Withers in a different lawsuit, he just revealed his name. That's a black man. He accused Diddy and those people of spiking his substance. And when he woke up, he was being, Diddy was on top of him doing what he do, allegedly. He put his name out there. And so did 3 other people alongside him in different lawsuits. And now this one from 2022, who has another celebrity's name in it that has not been revealed yet. Who is that other celebrity? But that one from 2022, the judge has asked that person to reveal their name, so they have to reveal their name soon. Right? Now, let's talk about this other situation with this kidnapping. See, all these people came on and said, oh, this new indictment doesn't mean anything. I think a lot of people are going to get caught up in court. A lot of famous people, a lot of celebrities are going to get caught up in court in this case because their names are going to get mentioned. I believe you might see a celebrity or 2 testify in this case. Maybe 1 or 2 celebrities testify, right? Alongside Cassie. Cassie's one of them, but alongside Cassie, I believe you're going to see anonymously. So you're never going to know they're a celebrity. That's why these people want to testify anonymously, in my opinion. Some of them, out of fear, they don't want nobody to know where they at, come try to blah, blah, blah. But some of them are celebrities that are going to testify. And I'm going to tell you guys, one of the celebrities I believe is going to testify. And I think that this is clear as day. I believe one of the celebrities could potentially be Kid Cudi in that car situation. That's one of the potentials, I believe. But let me say this to you guys right here. Going into that situation, that kidnapping situation that was been alleged now and been brought forward into the forefront, all that's been charged under the Racketeering Act. That's why the Racketeering Act, called the RICO Act, I told y'all when everybody was talking about that video, all that shit has been charged under the RICO Act. That's why the RICO Act is self alone. You get up to life in prison for that. That's life alone because of all those things that have been put underneath that RICO Act. So when you look at this right here, it says this is Diddy's lawyers writing this. The evidence alleged uncharged sexual assaults must be excluded under the federal rules of evidence for multiple reasons. The evidence is not admissible under Rule 413 because Mr. Combs is not formally charged with crimes of sexual assault. This is where Diddy's lawyers are wrong. And they're going to hammer Diddy's lawyers the same way they hammered Harvey Weinstein in his case. They use this same thing in Harvey Weinstein's case. And the feds, matter of fact, I'm going to get to that in a second. But let's get to this kidnapping situation. Because Diddy's lawyers, if you read this 39-page write-up, they're basically saying if the feds or the judge or the court allows this evidence that the feds are allowing to be brought into court, they're basically saying it is over with. There is no way. They're saying that they're basically saying that the jury is going to punish Diddy because they're going to think he's a bad person based off of all these evidence that they have been presented and all these things they're going to show in court. They're saying that the jury is going to want to punish him alone based off of that. But they're saying, oh no, these were just his girlfriends or boyfriends or whatever like that, blah, 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 blah. They're saying that this is all consensual and this, that, and the third. But let's talk about this first part first. Let's get to this. And this is Katie Shayla.
Blowing up Kid Cudi.
Not only is Diddy being charged with blowing up Kid Cudi's car, he is also being charged with kidnapping someone and trying to break in Kid Cudi's house. A lot of people forget how huge this is, but Diddy is being charged for blowing up Kid Cudi's car and kidnapping a woman to try to break in his house under his racketeering conspiracy charge. And I think that this part of the trial...
Now, did y'all hear what she said? Under the RICO. I've been telling y'all this. Everybody keeps saying, oh man, what is going on today? I told y'all, all this stuff is going to be charged under the RICO. When they said, hey, Ticket, where's all the co-defendants and stuff at? You're going to see come court time. You're going to see come court time. And let me tell y'all something. Diddy's in a horrible situation right now. And I'm going to tell y'all why he's in a horrible situation. He's in a horrible situation because his lawyers have to know. First of all, the black lawyer quit. He said, under no circumstances can I move forward as his representation. Anthony RICO. Think about this, y'all. If Diddy waits, that's going to give the feds more time to bring more charges, more superseding indictments against this dude. That's why I believe Diddy's going to want a quick trial before this stuff continues to snowball and get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. So he's got a huge decision to make. If the judge allows all of this evidence to be entered into court, do I ask for a delay of for years and sit in prison for years? Because remember, Diddy's already waived. He's already waived his bail right. So do I have to sit in prison for years while we investigate? Or we say we investigate? Or do I go ahead and just say, F it, I don't want to be sitting here too much longer. If I'm just going to sit here, let me go ahead and get it on with now. Let's keep going.
Going to be one of the most crazy parts. The feds are alleging in the early morning hours of December 22nd of 2011, Diddy and a co-conspirator kidnapped an individual with a weapon to facilitate breaking into and entering the residence of a person known as Individual 1, which is going to be Kid Cudi. Multiple witnesses will testify at trial to the events surrounding the kidnapping and the break-in, which is corroborated by police reports and other records. Approximately 2 weeks later, Diddy's co-conspirators set fire to Individual 1's vehicle by slicing open the car's convertible top and dropping a Molotov cocktail inside the interior. Police and fire department records extensively document the arson and conclude that the fire was intentionally set. Multiple witnesses will testify to the defendant bragging about his role in destroying Kid Cudi's car. So not only is Diddy being charged with blowing up Kid Cudi's car, he is also being charged with kidnapping a woman that we just learned in this new superseding indictment to try to get her to facilitate a break-in into Kid Cudi's house. As you can...
Now, let me stop right there. Why is that what she said important? The kidnapping part. So they're saying that Diddy allegedly held somebody at gunpoint. They have proof of this, right? Remember they talked about how they confiscated those guns that was defaced from Diddy's home? Remember that? Remember that? All this stuff they're going to put together. But let me say this to y'all. This is the reason why that tape is so important with Cassie. That tape didn't just show Diddy beating Cassie up. That videotape showed kidnapping. Let me repeat myself again. That videotape showed kidnapping. So, what does that mean? That means when witnesses get on the stand and say that they witnessed these type of things, Diddy can say, hey, that's not true. I never did that. But then all they're going to do is play the tape and say, well, Judge, we have evidence that Diddy has kidnapped people before and held people against their will because he did it to Cassie on that tape. Everybody was looking at the beating on that videotape with Diddy and Cassie. The part everybody missed on that tape was the fact that Diddy basically kidnapped Cassie. When you hold someone against their will and don't allow them to leave, that's kidnapping. Let me say this to y'all right now. I think everybody need to learn the law. I said this once and I'll say it again. You can be married for 30 years with your wife. And you can go tell your wife, hey, baby, you're going to give it up tonight. If she says no and you take it, that's sexual assault. That's our word. And she can call the cops and lock your ass up. Don't matter if you are a husband or not. Your ass going to jail. She call them boys in blue. They coming over there and one time going to lock your ass up. Fellas, if your wife trying to leave the home, if your wife is trying to leave home because y'all got in an argument and she's ticked off and you block her from leaving the home and lock those doors and force her to stay and tell her she ain't going nowhere, you my wife. She called the cops, that's kidnapping. See, it doesn't sound like that to a lot of cats, but that's what it is. That's the law. That's the truth. And I'm telling y'all this thing because y'all can learn and be educated and know how not to play yourself and trick yourself out of position, being a multi-millionaire or damn near billionaire, like Sean Diddy Combs did, right? To the person who said Cassie was living in luxury, doesn't mean that she deserved this. Doesn't mean that she deserved this. Doesn't mean that she deserved that. The hell is wrong with you, boy? You got problems, brother? I think you got some problems. Well, guess what? They call Big Ticket the problem solver. So you know what I'm going to do to you, brother? You are the weakest link. Goodbye. Get your ass out of here, sucker. That's supposed to mean. See, that's the problem with these punks. See, a dude like that, he think, oh, because she's living in luxury, she belong to me. You going to do what I say, whatever I say it. That's not how it goes now. See what I'm saying? I told y'all, these dudes feel like that they can, listen, I told y'all how I am. If a girl don't want to be with me, man, holler, man. I go get me a joint, man. It's 20 million women out here. The hell I'll be sitting around here chasing you folk. I just go get me a thicker shorty. Period. We ain't gotta have no argument. I'm not sitting up here arguing with you all day. You don't want to be with me? Bye. You take your shit, go on, leave. Straight like that. I guarantee I'm gonna have a girl looking like Carrie Hilson in the mall. The hell wrong with you? There's too many women out here for that, bro. Real talk. But these dudes, they don't understand that. And they trick themselves out of their position because they have this mindset that I own you. Straight up. I'm telling y'all this. I'm not finna argue with no shit. Like, straight up, I'm telling y'all this, bro. I ain't got time. It's too many women out here for that. Real talk. Too many women. All you gotta do is go outside. It's too many women. Period. But you get punks like that. Oh man, she's living a luxury. What that means? That means you have a right to beat the hell out of her, like we seen Diddy do on tape. Was that what you're saying, sir? See, that's the problem with the mentality of a lot of these punks. They grew up in that shit, and they don't know no better. See what I'm saying? Because that's what they grew up in, is negativity, violence, and bullshit. So they keep that shit going. And they trick the young ones out of position because they see that. They feel like that's the way. And then, boom. Y'all see the situation going on with old boy. He choked his girlfriend out. The dude lost his whole career. He's going to lose his whole life. Look at the dude on YouTube that beat up his girlfriend on stream. This nigga couldn't even control himself and punched the girlfriend like 10 times on the stream. He in prison right now, the YouTuber. He going to jail. He in jail right now. He going to prison. He tricked himself out of all his position. He going to prison for 20 years. This type of stuff that's going on, I keep telling y'all that these dudes ain't got no minds, bro. I don't want the young fellas to go out like that, bro. Real talk. There's too many women out here, bro. Don't be tricking yourself off. And the same thing with the ladies. Ladies, y'all be out here going all extra emotional, all extra stressed out, ready to fight your man and stuff like that. Don't put your hands on that dude. Because y'all out of pocket too. I seen a video the other day where a girl slapped the dude at a Florida Auburn they was watching the game inside the restaurant. A girl slapped the dude and a brawl started. Come on, man. These ladies out of pocket too, out here acting wild and out of pocket. It ain't no more lines of respect. Period. See, if a lady love her man, she gonna respect her. My man ain't gotta yell at her about something. He could tell her, hey, look, baby, hey, come on, let's go do this. Okay, baby, I got you. She gonna respect that. You know what I'm saying? Just because how much she got love for her man for real. A chick that don't got love for you, she not gonna respect you. So why waste your time with her? Why waste your time trying to argue with, you know what I'm saying, when there's a million other women out here? It's crazy to me, man. I'm telling y'all, it's real. It's crazy to me.
See, in the Enterprise letter that was just dropped with the new superseding indictment, it says, in addition, the language of count 1 contains 2 changes clarifying that the defendant kidnapped and carried and displayed a firearm to a female victim. And I assume that this victim could be Cassie Ventura because Cassie said in her lawsuit in 2011 during a rough patch with Diddy, she got into a relationship with Kid Cudi. She said that Diddy returned home from a trip and demanded another freak off from Cassie. And during this freak off, Diddy found Cassie's phone and found emails between her and Kid Cudi. And this is why he became enraged and proceeded to place a manual corkscrew between his fingers and lunge at her. Cassie said that she ran away to stay at Kid Cudi's home to escape Diddy's wrath. And then soon after, Diddy's staff member told Cassie that she just needed to talk to Diddy even though he was enraged. She said this was one of the many times that she felt like she couldn't get away from Diddy no matter how hard she tried. She ended up going back to Diddy.
Now, that's why the tape is so important. Everybody kept talking about the tape. They didn't know all this other stuff. This other stuff is going to come up in the trial. All this other devious, dark, devilish things, that shit going to come out in the trial. And that's why that tape is going to have the video footage to show that the things that she say is probably true about him beating on her, forcing her to stay, and all of these other things, and the arrogance of this nigga. And they're going to use the fact that he lied before that tape dropped. They're going to destroy this man's character and credibility based off his own words. And then they're going to use the fact that he apologized and then turn around and try to say, oh, well, the tape was edited. Why you ain't say that when you apologized on tape? You went on video and apologized. And you said you was wrong. You said you was on something. He took that apology down. But y'all already know how it goes on social media now. Once you put it up, you done, son.
And when she did, she alleged that Diddy hit her several times and then kicked her in the back, and she tried to run out the door. She said after this, she went to her parents' home in Connecticut, where her mother took pictures of the bruises that Diddy had allegedly left on her body. And after that is when Cassie alleged that Diddy had Kid Cudi's car blown up. And after Cassie's lawsuit dropped, Kid Cudi came out and said that everything that Cassie said about his car being blown up was true. So I think it's very possible that we could see Kid Cudi testify against Diddy in his criminal trial. To know it's not only an arson and is also connected to a kidnapping trying to break into his house is crazy, because those are some serious charges. That's why I don't get when a lot of people are like, well, she stayed with Diddy for 10 years. Do you know how many times she wrote in that lawsuit that she tried to leave, and then something insane like this would happen? They would track her down. They blew up a car. They kidnapped somebody by pow point. I mean, look at her face, guys. Like, there's so many pictures that you can pull up of Cassie Ventura looking like this. And one of the most disturbing ones that will always stay on my mind is when Cassie uploaded this picture of herself on her Instagram while she was in Dubai with Diddy. Back then, Cassie did delete this picture very quick, but before she deleted it, she alleged that she got all of this from a ATV crash. The injury to her head literally scarred her face. Like, there's no way that she did that to her lip and this big gash on her head from pulling off of an ATV.
Now, that part right there, right? Now, all of these different things. That's why I told y'all these buffoons didn't know what they was talking about when they were saying, oh, I don't think superseding indictment is nothing, because you niggas don't read paperwork. That's the problem with our people. Our people every single day suffer because of a lack of knowledge and understanding. Smash the like button, share, and subscribe to this channel, because it's about to get real ugly right now, y'all. It's about to get real ugly right now. What are you talking about, Ticket? Well, let's go to this. Let's go to this, right? Because I told y'all kept talking about who's the codees. Y'all really want to know the codees? Y'all gonna find out very soon. You're gonna find out very soon who these codees are. And you ain't gonna like what you see or what you hear. I'm telling y'all this. Now let's get to this. Now this is Diddy's lawyers absolutely heated about this superseding indictment and what is in it and how this could destroy Sean Diddy Combs. But let's get to this part because this is the biggest part of the whole situation.
Prejudice, Combs, but this could potentially delay this whole trial. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law and Crime. I'm Jesse Weber.
Now, let's get to it.
Could it change the course of this whole case? But I wonder if we're dealing with a situation that could actually delay this trial. So if you've been following our coverage here on Sidebar, you know there has been a whole lot of back and forth between Combs' defense counsel and prosecutors about who's going to testify at this upcoming trial, particularly the alleged victims. And when the prosecutors have to disclose the identities of these individuals, well, it is that issue that has now raised up again. And this is a monumental potential problem. I'm going to start with one of the defense's filings from yesterday. And I want you to listen to this explosive opening paragraph. Quote, after months of refusing to disclose the identity of alleged victims and just 60 days before trial, the government suddenly announced that it intended to shore up its case with evidence of redacted, uncharged, and uncorroborated crimes, including redacted, again, it's all blacked out, purported instances of sexual assault, all but one of which supposedly occurred decades ago. These incendiary allegations are substantially more serious than the charged offenses, and if admitted...
Stop right there. Stop right there. Boy, I told y'all this thing is real bad. Diddy's lawyers said that the actual evidence, witnesses, and things that they want to bring in this court for this case are more devastating than what they're saying Diddy's being charged with. But what his lawyers don't know is that Diddy is being charged with some of these things under the RICO Act and under the Sex Trafficking and Prostitution Act. You're going to see why right now. They're saying that if they allow this thing to be brought into court, it is so bad that they're saying the judge will just convict Diddy just based off of what they've seen from this and not from what he's being officially, they're saying officially charged with as far as sex trafficking and, you know, prostitution and stuff like that, blah, 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 in the RICO Act. Listen, you got to listen to words, y'all. This is Diddy's lawyer saying this.
Supposedly occurred decades ago. These incendiary allegations are substantially more serious than the charged offenses, and if admitted, would make it impossible for Mr. Combs to receive a fair trial. Wow. Now, we'll get into the law on this and if prosecutors can actually introduce evidence of uncharged conduct. I mean, we've seen that before. We've seen that in other cases. Look at the Harvey Weinstein case, right? His first trial in New York, there was a whole big issue about bringing in evidence of uncharged conduct to establish a pattern of activity to help prove the crimes that he was.
And that is where everybody else going to get exposed, in my opinion, man. Let me say this again. That is where everybody else is going to get exposed in this trial. Because that situation that happened with Harvey Weinstein, and he fought that and lost. When they start bringing in all these other allegations, all these other people's names to show a pattern of all this shit that went on, man, this is gonna expose so many people, bro. It's gonna be sad, bro. Because there's gonna be people that wasn't even officially charged in this, that their names are gonna be destroyed. Companies not going to want to work with them no more. They're going to lose sponsorships. They're going to lose everything because their names are involved in these hellacious, in these heinous acts. And I'm going to tell you guys something. A lot of these people who maybe, you know what I'm saying, have already settled lawsuits quietly and thought their names would never be brought up, now that it's criminal, they don't know what they're shitting bricks, man. That's why everybody's being quiet. I'm telling y'all this. Y'all need to smash the like button. It's the best thing that got going. I'm not telling y'all no shit that I just made up on the block. I'm telling y'all what's in the paperwork what Sean Diddy Combs' lawyers is out here talking about that they're afraid of. And these are facts.
We have seen that before in other criminal cases, again, involving sex crimes. But what could all this be about? Who is this about? Is this about salacious allegations in any of the civil lawsuits that Combs is facing? Could this include allegations that Combs abused minors? Again, part of the civil lawsuits.
Now, y'all heard that word. Y'all heard what Law and Crime said. Now, that M word. Everybody's been that M word. If that type of evidence is produced in the court, man, that MINOR word, y'all. They said it, not me. They said it on Law and Crime, not me. That could be it. Because remember, I told y'all, if you read this 39-page write-up, it speaks about that in this 39-page write-up. Read it. I forgot what page it's on. Read it. Matter of fact, I'll give y'all the page in the next video I come up here on, where it is actually mentioned that on there. But it's not saying whether or not that is one of the things, but it's actually written, that word, in this write-up. We should have over 2,000 likes. These are facts. Let's keep going.
What is this about? Is this about salacious allegations in any of the...
And remember one thing, everybody. Remember one thing. I've noticed a few things. I think this thing has gotten real serious because you don't see Ariel Mitchell Kid doing any more interviews on TV no more. These people have gotten serious. The dude who came out and said he had those tapes, everybody said, oh, he's lying. He lying. He ain't got no tapes. Why isn't he in prison if he's lying? Would he be in prison right now if he was lying? Or we're going to find out during the trial that he really did have information, that he really did have tapes that he turned over. You have to ask yourselves these questions. These are real questions that you have to ask yourselves. I'm telling y'all this. Let's keep going.
Civil lawsuits that Combs is facing? Could this include allegations that Combs abused minors? Again, part of the civil lawsuits? We don't know. It's all redacted. But clearly, you see the defense team on the defensive about this. They do not want this introduced. So the filing continues. For example, the indictment does not allege redacted. Instead, the charges focus on allegations about domestic abuse or supposed economic coercion of longtime girlfriends. That is the case Mr. Combs has been defending for months. Yet now, on the eve of trial and after 2 superseding indictments, the government has surfaced a new plan to taint his trial with evidence about purported heinous acts redacted, including an allegation that redacted.
See, that's the thing. They redacted those that word. So, with the part where they redacted, was that the part about the alleged MINORSs? We don't know. We'll find out during trial. And if that's the case, and they bring that type of evidence in, that is going to blow the lid off this case. I'm telling y'all this. They redacted that part in that filing so you couldn't see what they wrote. That's why he said that word. And I believe it. Truly in my heart, I believe they're coming with that. I believe it. That's my personal thought. And if they do, Lord help us all. Because they're going to name names. If that's true. They're going to name names. That's why Diddy's lawyers filed this paperwork and wanted to remove and exclude all of this evidence from being able to be presented in trial. See, it's only so long that this type of foolishness and stuff can go on. But think about this. The dude, Courtney Burgess, is quiet. He said, I want out. He backed out. He went up there. They said, remember, If he was lying, why isn't he in prison? Wouldn't he be in prison for having that type of thing or doing something like this or lying about that situation? Wouldn't he be prosecuted and be in prison? Where did he go? He just disappeared. Huh? Think about this. Think about what I'm saying. Why is everybody so hard to find now? Why is that lawyer Tyrone Blackburn unable to find Aaron Hall, unable to find Justin Combs, unable to find Cuba Gooding Jr.? And to the dude Cardell, I wouldn't know unless I saw. See, Cardell Passmore, you said that Burgess was on some bull. You don't know it, and I don't know it, sir. But I would know your role and shut your mouth until this trial starts, sir. Because you don't want to put your foot in your mouth. Because guess what? You know, and I know, and we don't know what the feds have. You're going to find out in court, and it's going to be explosive. That's why I never demonize and talk down on that person unless you know for a fact that he was lying. And he never denied having that information. That's why Diddy's lawyers have come out filing these filings and don't want any of these other things to be presented in court. Now, we don't know. They redacted all those things in the writing. But I'm telling y'all, it's about to get ugly, bro. Listen to what I tell you, brother.
Taint his trial with evidence about purported heinous acts redacted, including an allegation that redacted. These are entirely new, untested, uncorroborated, and uninvestigated allegations. All but one of the alleged incidents happened over 20 years ago, with the oldest dating to the 1980s. Some of the allegations are demonstrably false, but would nonetheless require an enormous amount of trial time to disprove. Some are truly unknown to the defense, and the government's disclosure has been utterly threadbare so far. The allegations implicate dozens of unidentified witnesses and alleged co-conspirators around the world. And some of the key witnesses to the supposed incidents are dead. Basically meaning, how can we defend against it? The defense is not even permitted to share the identities of the individuals described in the disclosure letter with Mr. Combs until April 18th, further hampering defense counsel's ability to investigate. Collectively, these new allegations require many months, if not years, to investigate, and if admitted, would require a series of mini trials, certain to double the length of a trial the government originally said would last 3 weeks.
Didn't I tell y'all this trial was going to go the long way? Tiki, you don't know what you're talking about. Yeah, I do, nigga. I was right the whole time. This shit going a long way, boy. I told you. This shit going a long way. With all the witnesses they got, all the people they got, this shit going a long way, brother. I told you. Y'all don't listen to me. I try to tell you. Try to tell y'all. It's going to get ugly for a lot of people, man.
This is an explosive allegation that on its face, I don't know if I necessarily disagree with. If they are bringing in evidence of uncharged conduct, wouldn't the defense have an opportunity to investigate it and challenge it? It seems like they're making a point. So if this evidence is allowed in, there is a chance this could delay the trial significantly. We all know Combs wants to go to trial, but...
Remember I told y'all that yesterday and that clown came here, oh, you're clickbait. I ain't clickbaiting. I told you. Diddy's lawyer said that this could take years to investigate if they allow all that new evidence to be brought in from that ultimate superseding indictment. That's why I told y'all, don't listen to these bums. I know what the hell I'm talking about. I sat up here and told y'all this. But that y'all gonna want to listen now because it's law and crime telling y'all the same thing I told y'all first. I told y'all this stuff. They don't want to listen. This thing finna get ugly and it's finna spread out. Everybody keep talking about, where's all the code? They laughing now. Laugh now, cry later. They laughing now. They gonna be crying when them names come up in that court. They gonna be crying. Everybody gonna be ducking, trying to make sure their name don't get caught up in the Diddy foolishness.
How can he properly defend himself against this in just a few weeks? By the way, thank you so much for coming to us, Ferg.
Right.
So if you're injured in someone's character or propensity or prior bad acts, to suggest that the defendant did that, so it's more likely that he's guilty of this. And Combs argues that this evidence is not allowed under the federal rules of evidence, and I'll get into each one of the rules. So first up, Combs argues that this evidence shouldn't be allowed under Rule 413 of the Rules of Evidence. Now, Rule 413 states that in a criminal case in which a defendant is accused of a sexual assault, the court may admit evidence that the defendant committed any other sexual assault. The evidence may be considered on any matter to which it is relevant. But Combs argues he's not charged with sexual assault as an individual crime. And to support that argument, he goes into the language of the rule, prior court decisions, principles on how to interpret the rule, legislative history of the rule. I'm not going to bore you with all that. But the bottom line is he's not charged with sexual assault, and Rule 413, he claims, only applies specifically to sexual assault crimes. Then we move on to another argument from Sean Combs, where that the evidence shouldn't be admissible under Rule 404B, that it shouldn't be admitted under that either. So Rule 404B allows evidence of other crimes, other wrongs, other acts. It is used to prove motive. It is used to prove opportunity, intent, preparation, plan, knowledge, identity, absence of mistake, or lack of accident. But
let's stop right there. That is where everybody else is going to get caught up, in my opinion, because they allow that to come into court, which they probably going to do it because they did it for Harvey Weinstein and these other cases. You know what that means? That means that all these other people that was involved in different situations are accidentally going to get hit with strays. Whether you were there, whether you witnessed it and didn't say nothing, whether you were involved. Because now, once you start bringing in all these other witnesses to other crimes, and what they're going to do is they're going to try to show a pattern that, oh, this is the type of stuff he was doing. So he ain't even being charged for this, but we're going to bring all these other witnesses in here and all this other evidence in here and show you guys this. And what they're going to do is they're going to start playing those tapes, lining those videos up. Who was this? Who was that? Who was that? Who was that? Who was this at this event? Right? And people are going to start identifying these people. Oh, well, that's blame. Okay. Oh, okay, that's who? That's blase blah. That's now what's going on right here. Okay, this is a situation, blah, blah, blah. We did it this is how we did it, blah, blah, blah. All this type of thing is going to come into play. I'm trying to tell y'all, bro, when I shoot from the 3 line in the game, I don't miss no shots. Buckets, period. Bottom of the net. It's going in. Game time. I'm telling y'all this. Y'all better listen. Y'all want to listen? It's about to get ugly.
Argues that doesn't apply here. Quote, start by calling a spade a spade. What the proffered evidence tends to demonstrate is a propensity for sexual violence and a dangerous, depraved character. That is what the government wants to establish, and it is the real purpose of this evidence. Rule 404 does not allow the admission of evidence to prove character and propensity. The other purposes in Rule 404b2 are non-propensity purposes. There is no conceivable non-propensity purpose here, and merely repeating the words of Rule 404b2 is not sufficient. So first, Combs argues that the government doesn't adequately provide notice of what their other intended purposes are for all of this redacted evidence, and that under the law, the defense needs to know what the prosecution plans to argue so they can properly respond and defend against it. And they basically say the prosecution is acting in bad faith. Quote, it is obvious the government either intentionally withheld notice for the purpose of unfair surprise or was dilatory and negligent in its investigation. The government knows it is impossible to investigate these allegations in 60 days since the beginning of the case. The defense has been asking the government to identify alleged victims precisely so that Mr. Combs can investigate and prepare his defense. The government did not identify any of the individuals in its notice until 10:31 p.m. on March 17, 2025, after the court ordered such disclosure. But Combs doesn't just argue that the prosecution failed in the notice department, but they also argue there's no non-propensity purpose for introducing this evidence. Quote, on their face, the proffered purposes do not even make sense. For example, the government suggests that all the prior acts show plan and preparation for the charged offenses. How does redacted show that the defendant was planning and preparing to commit a sex trafficking or Mann Act violation? That doesn't even make sense, as the proffered acts are not sufficiently similar to the conduct at issue to permit a reasonable inference of knowledge, intent, or plan. And then Sean Combs doubles down and argues against the idea that these prior alleged acts of violence against women can be used to prove intent to commit the charged acts involving violence against women. Combs argues that the only way the jury would find him guilty of the crimes he's facing based on these redacted prior acts would be if it found he had a propensity for violence against girlfriends and partners, and that is not allowed.
That's why the Cassie tape is everything as far as that's concerned. Because what the Cassie tape is going to do is, it's one of these tapes, and I believe there's more tapes out there too, but it's one of these tapes that's going to show that as far as Cassie's case is concerned, that he beat that ass. And he would beat that ass. And see, this is the part where y'all don't understand. Everybody keeps missing over this. The Cassie tape was an alleged freak off that went wrong. The feds allegedly have the male who was in the hotel room. Remember, Diddy came out in a towel. There's another male that allegedly was in that hotel room that was a sex worker. That was alleged a freak off is what the feds are alleging. And they're saying they're going to prove that in court. And that Cassie was trying to escape the freak off. And when she tried to escape, this is the results. Get your ass whooped in the hallway and kidnapped and dragged back. That's why Diddy don't want that videotape entered into evidence, because that videotape is damning with the Cassie victim one allegations. Nigga, can't F with me on no level talking this court shit, nigga, because I read the fucking paperwork. Excuse my French. Oui. Bookman.
Quote, the government may say that the evidence is offered to prove intent or motive or whatever, but this court must look beneath those words to see if propensity is what gives the evidence its persuasive force. So then we go into another point, and Combs argues that Rule 403 would prevent this evidence from coming in. What's Rule 403? So the court may prevent evidence from coming into trial if its probative value, meaning its strength in proving something, its value, if its probative value is substantially outweighed by a danger of unfairly prejudicing the jury, confusing the issues, misleading the jury, undue delay, wasting.
Now, let's get to that. But we're going to keep going before we get to that part.
Time or needlessly presenting cumulative or repetitive evidence. So here, Combs argues, the evidence has little probative value, especially since alleged prior bad acts that didn't result in a conviction, they have to be treated with caution, according to Combs. He argues that these are weak allegations and there is a reason to doubt them. That the government, according to him, has provided no discovery on them, has not investigated the allegations, and Combs claims that the alleged sexual assaults are not even similar to the crimes that he's charged with, again, showing they have little probative value. Then Combs argues that this evidence raises a substantial danger of unfairly prejudicing the jury, that these uncharged acts, these redacted allegations, will prejudice him so that the jury will feel the need to engage in preventive conviction, even if he's innocent, of the sex trafficking and racketeering charges, that they feel they have to do something. And really, Combs argues if this is the stuff that comes in and the jury will see it, they'll see him just as a bad guy who deserves punishment, particularly given the inflammatory nature and content of these allegations. Now, all of these uncharged acts, again, are redacted, so we have no idea what it is, but based on Combs' arguments, he alleges that it's all very different from what he's currently charged with. So with all that in mind, Combs' counsel explains that the evidence shouldn't be admitted, or at the very least a hearing is necessary before the evidence is admitted, because the government has not explained what it has, how it's going to prove these uncharged acts happened, and so forth. But then we move into the government's response, and they say as following, quote,
now, the government's going to come back and nail Diddy ass to the wall, because all this lying and capping Diddy and his legal team been doing, the government's going to come back now and lay the smackdown on all of this foolishness that they talking. And y'all finna see it right here in front of the world, Craig. In front of the world, Craig. In front of the world, Craig. So, what is Ticket saying? What am I saying? I'm saying what I'm saying. I'm saying now y'all finna hear why they gonna lay the smackdown on Diddy in court. And this is the part right here I really want to get into, is what the government's saying, because y'all need to hear this part. Y'all need to hear and smash the like button and subscribe as y'all come on in here. Y'all need to hear this part, because this part is very, very, very important. This part right here, man, is very important, because again, this is the part right here where, if you don't like reading paperwork, you need to listen to this part right here. This is the most important part. If you don't like reading paperwork, you need to listen to this part right here. All right, so let's get into it. So let's get into this part right here. Now, this is what the government is saying.
His arrest, the government has insisted that every victim in this case consented to every sex act the government has identified. Having made plain his intention to argue at trial that he believed every alleged coercive sex act was consensual, the defendant has put his knowledge and intent squarely at issue. To resolve that dispute, the jury is entitled to hear the testimony of redacted. That testimony powerfully establishes that the defendant made no mistake when he coerced other victims into unwanted sex. It proves that the defendant intended...
Stop it. Somebody is coming against Diddy powerful. Not Cassie. Somebody else powerful is coming against Diddy to testify. The government just said it. They just laid it out right there. The government just said, in their response to Diddy, they're saying, hey, Diddy says that all these women are lying. And Diddy says that this is all consensual. He said that they're all lying. So since Diddy is saying that they're all lying, what we're going to do is we're going to bring all this other evidence in that we haven't even charged Diddy with. All this shit we ain't even charged him with. We're going to bring all this evidence and all these witnesses in that are going to testify that they witnessed and this dude's a liar. That's the reason why they're going to be able to permit that evidence, because Diddy himself has said, hey, look, this was all consensual. This wasn't against people's consent. And so the government says, okay, it wasn't against their consent. We're going to bring in, that's just like if you bring in character witnesses in court. Like if you're trying to defend yourself, Diddy has a right to go get character witnesses to come in and speak for him in court. They'll speak for his character. I doubt he'll have too many people that I guarantee. See, this is the part that destroyed me. All these people talk all this trash. How many people that are celebrities, says everybody, because all the people that's taking up for Diddy is non-celebrities. So I had 3 people that's celebrities that taking up for Diddy. How many of them is going to get up on the stand in the court of law and speak up for Diddy? Which means that if they take their punk asses on the stand, they can get cross-examined. Which means that if Diddy's lawyers say, hey, look, we need to call you on the stand to be a character witness for Diddy, they get up on the stand. Now what's going to happen is that the government is going to look into their whole history and background. So if they got any type of smut on their name, any type of dirty shit they've been sitting on, any type of stuff, the government going to expose that shit in court in front of everybody and destroy their character. And say, hey, how can you take this person as a character witness when they got blah, 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 all in their name and their history? The only people that's going to speak up for Diddy, in my opinion, is family and people like that. So the government's saying, hey, look, since he says that all this stuff is false, not only are we going to bring evidence, we're going to bring all these witnesses in here for crimes that we haven't even, we ain't even charged them with all this shit that we got right here. We're going to bring all these other people in here, and they're going to tell you about this scumbag. And then we're going to show you the evidence to line up to what they're saying. That is what's going on. Let's keep going. Class in session.
To argue at trial that he believed every alleged coercive sex act was consensual, the defendant has put his knowledge and intent squarely at issue. To resolve that dispute, the jury is entitled to hear the testimony of redacted. That testimony...
Hold on. To the person who says yay, let me say this to you. Foxy Nala, I'm going to say something to you. They'll never put yay on the stand. Let me repeat myself to you again. They will never put yay on the stand for no Diddy. Let me repeat that to you one more time. They will never put Ye on the stand for Diddy. And I don't want to talk to you like that, but I'm just keeping it 100. I don't care what Ye say. Ye got 3 or 4, 5 lawsuits out against him right now around the same area. He ain't getting cooked the same way Diddy getting cooked. That's for 1. For 2, Diddy's lawyers probably don't even like Ye because they're the people that Ye is attacking. He will never be a witness. They will even if he was they would never bring him as a witness. You think they put him on the stand to where he can get cross-examined? That nigga mess around and indict everybody. You go ahead and put Ye on the stand if you want to and see what happens. Put Ye ass up there on the stand and the government get to asking him questions. They gonna have everybody locked up. That you think it's a game if you, I'm telling you right now. Yeah, put him on the stand and see if you want to.
Establishes that the defendant made no mistake when he coerced other victims into unwanted sex. It proves that the defendant intended to take the sexual gratification he wanted regardless of consent. So the government argues that the alleged sexual assaults of Redacted, that it is admissible to help prove the criminal enterprise under the racketeering charge, because the idea is that this enterprise, this criminal enterprise, was set up to fulfill Combs' sexual desires. That the testimony of these alleged victims of uncharged acts shows intent under Rule 404b2, that he intended to coerce the victims in this criminal case into unwanted sexual activity, that this is a non-propensity purpose. Quote, given the graphic testimony that the statutory victims will collectively give about years' worth of beatings, drug-fueled coercive sex marathons, and multiple rapes, these are the people who will testify as part of the criminal charges, the non-statutory victims' testimony, meaning the people who testify as to this uncharged conduct, will be no more inflammatory than the evidence that the jury will already have before it at this trial. Accordingly, the highly probative proffered testimony is not unduly prejudicial under Rule 403, which we discussed before. So let's actually get into that. The government says that this evidence that it wants to introduce is admissible under Rule 413, which we discussed before, the idea that in sexual assault cases, other acts of sexual assault can be admitted. Now, the government, not surprisingly, disagrees with Combs' characterization that he isn't accused of sexual assault in this criminal case, so the rule doesn't apply. The government responds and claims the commercial sex acts as part of the transportation to engage in prostitution charge he's facing and the underlying sex trafficking allegations in the racketeering charge he's facing and the forced labor allegations, they all contain multiple sexual assaults. That's what this is about. You don't have...
I told y'all. So when these bums come out here saying, I told all y'all this way before Law and Crime told y'all, all those crimes, they charging that nigga under those different, the RICO Act, under the Sex Trafficking Act, and the Prostitution. I told y'all that they don't bundle all this shit up. That's what the feds did. They charged him underneath there. That's why when everybody was saying that shit about the video, oh, the video don't mean nothing. Yes, it does. This nigga is in the indictment. It's in the on page, open the contract. Turn to page 3. Now it's on page 4. Go to page 4. It says it right there. Under count number 1, racketeering conspiracy. It says it right there on page 4. That's what he's being charged with. But this is what happens when the people don't read paperwork, they get caught in stupid situations. They're going to F around and find out. Bookman. He's done, son.
Be charged with sexual assault. He's been accused of sexual assault as part of this criminal case. Next, the government argues that this evidence is also admissible under Rule 404b. You know, again, the evidence of other crimes, wrongs, bad acts to prove something other than propensity. Again, intent, motive, knowledge, absence of mistake. So namely, they make the argument that Combs had the intent to sex traffic these victims in his current criminal case and coerce all 4 of these victims to engage in forced labor. And that is especially true because their argument is Combs is going to argue at trial that all the victims consented to sexual activity. Again, this uncharged act, this alleged prior bad act, that is used to prove he knew that his victims didn't consent, that he intended to sexually gratify himself regardless of consent. And there was no mistake when engaging in non-consensual sex acts. In other words, it is evidence we need to prove our underlying crimes in the indictment. Quote, the defendant's history of refusing to take no for an answer and intentionally seeking to gratify his own sexual desires, regardless of consent, strongly supports the inference that he had the same mindset, the same intent when coercing the statutory victims to engage in the charged sexual activity here. And then in a similar fashion, evidence that the defendant knew the non-statutory victims did not want to engage in sexual activity supports the inference that he knew or recklessly disregarded the fact that he was causing the statutory victims to engage in sex acts against their will. Thus, when the defendant inevitably argues at trial that he had no clue these 4 women did not want the sexual experiences that he demanded, the government should be able to point out that someone as practiced as he is in sexual assault surely recognized the signs of non-consent. And when the defendant claims that he only ever intended to have consensual, loving sexual experiences with the statutory victims, the government should be able to point out his repeated intent to sexually gratify himself with unwilling participants. So
that's gonna do him in right there. So they basically saying, y'all, because Diddy said that all these people is lying. I'm gonna put this in layman's term for everybody that can understand it. Y'all smash the like button. We should have, by the end of this video, we should have about 10,000 likes by the time this video is finished tonight. I'm gonna tell y'all something. They're saying, because Diddy is denying and saying that all these people's lying and that they all had consensual sex. That's in the indictment. What they did is, we're gonna go get a whole new rack of people that we ain't even charged you with, that we have evidence. And not only evidence, we have their statements and they're willing to testify against this dude. So we're gonna bring that evidence and their testimony in the court to prove that not only is Diddy a liar, but he has a pattern and a history of doing this. That is going to destroy Diddy. And what's going to happen is they're going to bring all those individuals on the stand with that evidence. They're going to display this different evidence. They're going to name names, and they're going to name salacious, disgusting, despicable, unbelievable allegations to the T. And that alone is going to absolutely destroy him. And then other people who might not even be charged, they're going to get chopped down, basically because their names are going to be put in this. So their entire integrity is going to be destroyed. You're going to see it's going to happen right there in court. Well, other people's names are going to get brought up. Everybody's going to say, damn, this person was there. You might have just been there. And you might get identified as being there. People shitting bricks. I'm telling y'all this. I'm telling y'all this. So y'all need to pay attention to all these different things that's going on. That's why the government, that's why I told y'all that third superseding indictment was the hammer. I try to tell y'all this. But y'all, they didn't want to listen. Well, I don't really think this means nothing. Yeah, because you didn't read it. If you read it, you'll understand that they finna hit this nigga with a sonic boom. That's why his team came out with a 39-page write-up. And everybody keeps talking about, oh, well, what about the co-conspirators? Would you want to be a co-conspirator? Knowing all the evidence that they got? Nigga, all them niggas turn into witnesses. I'm gonna tell y'all what I think happened. I want everybody to smash the like button, share, and subscribe. And salute to the people who said, I seen a couple people in the Cash App. Salute to y'all. If y'all want to donate to the Cash App, the link pinned at the top of the chat. Let me say this to y'all. I truly believe that it's been multiple people that have been arrested and released, and we didn't even know. And they're under house arrest. And they just haven't been talking this whole time. They've been told to be quiet, don't say nothing, and stay low. They're under house arrest. I believe that when they went to got Diddy, this is the part they're not telling y'all. I believe when they got Diddy, they arrested shortly thereafter or before all them co-conspirators, but they kept it quiet because they didn't want witness tampering, in my opinion. So I believe they caught these people, arrested them, cut deals with them, and they're going to have to testify against them. And that's another reason why these people's names are being hidden, because a lot of the people who were co-conspirators are now going to be testifying against him, and they don't want their names put out there. So if their names are not put out there, see what I'm saying? Then people can't go walk down on them and find out what it is. So I'm just telling y'all what happened. So in my opinion, a lot of these people have already been arrested, have already agreed to work with the government, and just got low until the case. They come in, fly in, give their testimony, and then whatever their punishment is, they deal with their punishment when it comes sentencing time. Or if they're like this, the dude what's the white boy's name? I forget the white boy. They already, remember, the white boy got caught up at the airport. He walked away from a felony scot-free. They dropped the charges against him. Why did they drop the charges against him? He got to walk free from a felony discharge. How? You think they let him walk away? He's in all these different lawsuits. He's in a different lawsuit now. He's alleged to have been, you know what, and he just walks away. He ain't had to give no information, no testimony, no nothing. Come on, man. Y'all know how this thing works, man. I'm telling y'all this right now. Y'all already know what happened. They walking this thing down. So a lot of people, in my opinion, have already been arrested. A lot of these people probably on house arrest. We don't even know it. Got ankle monitors on, stuff like that. We don't even know it because we wasn't paying attention to that. We was paying attention to Diddy. They could have kept that low. Went, arrested these people, charged these people. Let some of these people off. Some of these people may have minor roles, or they felt like that these people were threatened and they were coerced into doing this. So they said, hey, look, you're going to come in and get your testimony and we'll let you walk. I'm telling y'all this. Y'all going to see. It's going to be a snitch fest. It's going to be, they're going to have to go ahead and call. They said they had 1,000 bottles of baby, but they're going to need 1,000 boxes of Kleenex for all that crying that's going to be going on that stand. I guarantee y'all this. Why y'all think Diddy's lawyers don't want none of that information and none of this new evidence entered in the court? I'm telling y'all, man, they're going to have a whole rack of people. And what they're going to try to do is, I know what Diddy's legal team is going to do. Diddy's legal team, what they're going to have to do is destroy the character of all these people that's going to testify against Diddy. It's going to get ugly in court, man. It is going to get ugly. Because if you're testifying against Diddy, if you got any type of smut on your name, you're going to get exposed. Meaning, they probably went and found every bad thing about you. If you cheat on your husband, you cheat on your wife, you did any stuff, any scumbag stuff you may have, they're going to pull it out on you. They're going to try to destroy your character. That's the other side of if you are speaking against Diddy. His lawyers, they're doing their work. Trust me. It's gonna get super ugly on all sides. That's why y'all see everybody being quiet. Because people don't want to get hit with the, you know what I'm saying? They don't want to get hit from the outside with this thing, man. This thing is real, bro. I don't know why people don't see it like that, but this thing is real, for real, bro. And it's a sad situation that we're seeing going on. But it indeed is a situation. It indeed is a situation. Right? But let's keep going. Because we need to get to this part. Let's keep going.
They are trying to establish that this pattern is important in proving the crimes here. And also, quote, evidence of the defendant's other sexual abuse proves the absence of mistake. Again, one of these non-propensity purposes. Quote, the government anticipates that the defendant may seek to argue that he mistakenly believed himself to be engaging in consensual sex acts with the statutory victims, or that his conduct was invited by his sexual partners. But redacted, including in the presence of or with third parties. Such testimony, therefore, makes plain that the defendant did not act inadvertently or due to a misconception that his sexual partners were willing participants in this conduct. Oh, and by the way, you remember that whole argument that the government didn't provide the proper notice to Sean Combs about what it plans to argue about this evidence? Well, the government responds, and they claim we provided the names of anonymous witnesses to the defense on March 17th, 2025, meaning we gave the defense enough information to understand what's going on here. Then we move on to the probative value argument that I mentioned before, that the probative value of the defendant's other alleged uncharged sexual abuse evidence, it outweighs any potential prejudice, at least according to the government, that the value of this testimony of uncharged conduct is, quote, strong and well corroborated. The government writes, indeed, given the extensive graphic testimony that the statutory victims will collectively give about decades worth of beatings, drug-fueled sex marathons, and multiple rapes, the non-statutory victims' testimony will be no more inflammatory than other evidence the jury will hear. Given the defense's likely arguments and attacks on victim credibility in this case, and the highly probative nature of the defendant's other sexual assault and abuse evidence on the defendant's knowledge, any potential prejudice under Rule 403 is easily outweighed. This is important evidence, it's relevant, it's important evidence, and it's important in establishing the crimes that we are alleging. And finally, the government argues that a hearing is unnecessary and inappropriate. Quote, although the defendant slings plenty of mud about the non-statutory victims' accounts, he has yet to produce any contrary evidence and did not attach it to his motion. By contrast, the government has provided detailed proffers of each victim's anticipated testimony and corroborating evidence.
That's going to do it right there. I wanted y'all to hear that part right there. I wanted y'all to hear that part right there. Listen to what he said. Listen to what the government said. Y'all need to listen to this part. It said, although the defendant, meaning Diddy, slings plenty of mud about the non-statutory victims' accounts, right? He has yet to produce any contrary evidence and did not attach it to his motion. Now listen to this next part, y'all. By contrast, the government says they have provided detailed proffers. Proffer agreement. What's a proffer agreement? Go back and look to the agreement that was had. Well, matter of fact, let me put this on the screen so y'all can see this. This is very important. This part is very important right here. Do you guys know what a proffer agreement is? Remember when the dude who's being accused of Tupac's murder, Keefe D, remember when he thought he had a proffer agreement? But they're saying that, nah, that was no good. A proffer agreement is when you give a testimony or account that's not going to be used against you. Meaning, let's say you were involved in a crime. This is how y'all know niggas is snitching on this dude, right? He got a lot of snitches, bro, that presented evidence against him. Proffer agreement is, so if I did a crime with you and I go and tell the feds about what you did and I present evidence that could implicate me, it protects me because I'm helping them give you. The feds are admitting that they have people who gave proffer agreements. This is going to do it right here. I'm going to show y'all on the screen this. This is why I kept trying to tell y'all this. Everybody keep talking this shit. These people don't know nothing about paperwork, don't read paperwork, ain't never went to no. I'm telling y'all these dudes ain't study nothing. Read here, right here on your screen. It's right there on your screen in the paperwork. The devil's in the details. Although the defendant, who's Diddy, slings plenty of mud about the non-statutory victims' accounts, he has yet to produce any contrary evidence and did not attach it to his motion. By contrast, the government has provided detailed proffers, that means snitches, who work with Diddy. So this is how they're going to eliminate Diddy right here. This is not people who just are testifying against Diddy and saying, oh, he did something to me. No. Proffers means that they got people who work hand in hand with Diddy, who may have committed crimes themselves, who have now given detailed proffer agreements, which avoids their prosecution, which now you would understand too is why so many people aren't being hit as far as this conspiracy is concerned, because people are giving, and then you got people who probably ain't even involved in this trial who are giving information but are afraid, or maybe were afraid to give information because it would implicate them in a certain crime, that the government said, nah, if you come give us this, we won't even implicate you. It's a proffer agreement. That's what Keefe D thought he had when he went in there and talked to that police officer, Caden. He thought he had a proffer agreement. You don't believe me? Look up a proffer agreement. Matter of fact, let's do that right here. Show you guys what a proffer agreement is, right? So this is what happens when you read paperwork. You destroy dudes, right? So the definition of a proffer agreement, right? Right? Hold on. Let me put this on your screen. Hold on. Right? Let me show y'all. Right? It says a proffer agreement, also known as a proffer letter, or a queen for a day. end quote, is a written agreement between a prosecutor and a defendant or witness, allowing the defendant to provide information about a crime without the government using that information against them in later proceedings, except for certain situations. Diddy's done. He's done. He got snitching. I told y'all this. He got people that allegedly committed crimes with him that not only gave evidence, but gave detailed proffer agreements and statements and are going to testify against him and his whole organization in court. He's done. I told you guys this. That's why I told y'all these people do not read. You cannot listen to these people because they don't understand anything. And I understand the language of the law because when you read and you look up definitions and you watch other cases and you study this stuff, man, you always study to show y'all self-approval. And here it is right here for you guys who don't know. It's right there on your screen. It's right there on your screen. You can Google proffer agreement. It's right there. A proffer agreement, also known as a proffer letter or queen for a day, is a written agreement between a prosecutor and a defendant or witness allowing the defendant to provide information about a crime without the government using that information against them in later proceedings, except for certain exceptions. You know what this means right here? And why are people anonymous? You know why some people may want to be anonymous? Because I would bet my bottom dollar that some of these people are celebrities who the feds ran down on that was allegedly on these tapes. And they don't want their names brought out in this case. But Diddy wants all of them exposed to the public because in my opinion, Diddy wants everybody to see these people as rats. Oh, it's about to get ugly. Because if they can hide under a proffer agreement, testify against Diddy, and provide evidence that would nail his ass to the wall without their identities being exposed. See, Diddy wants all these people exposed. Think about this. Think about what I'm saying to y'all. That's why he don't want none of these people to testify anonymously. And I'm telling y'all this. Read the paperwork. By contrast, the government has provided detailed proffers of each victim's anticipated testimony. And read this second part right here, y'all. And corroborating evidence. Evidence. So not only do they have testimony, they have presented evidence as well. Meaning that these people that were in Diddy's inner circle over the years may have committed crimes that would implicate themselves. The reason why y'all don't see all of these other people being charged is because most of them have given proffers, agreements to keep themselves from being prosecuted. And they've given information, whether it be bank statements, whether it be flight informations, whether it be video footage, whether it be audio footage, whether it be photos, whether it be other types of recordings, right? I need y'all to think, right? It says further, the accounts of non-statutory victims and those of the statutory victims corroborate each other. This corroboration, together with the detailed proffers of each victim's anticipated testimony, is sufficient to satisfy Rule 104, low threshold for reliability. You know what this kind of means too? The reason why Cassie cannot be prosecuted. And let me say this to you guys. In my opinion, she could be prosecuted in some of these situations if they wanted to, in my opinion, because of sex trafficking and things like that. But because maybe the government had sympathy for her or understood the situation or felt like maybe she really was in danger, they're allowing her to give her testimony to bury this dude so she will walk free. Because they're looking at it, in my opinion, like, oh, okay, well, maybe she was a part of a crime, but she felt so forced, and then we had these beatings and stuff like that, and we're seeing these things, so she felt like, hey, I couldn't get out, man. I fear for my life. I told y'all, that's what all those people gonna do. You better believe the feds got phones tapped and everything else. They're monitoring people's movements, everything. I believe when everybody continues to say, why does Diddy not have all of these people that are his co-defendants that were in this conspiracy? Why? Because they're not stupid. When the feds came to them with evidence of what they had, they said, I ain't going to prison for you, nigga. And a lot of them didn't like Diddy anyways because he's probably getting their ass whooped. So it wasn't hard for them to give detailed proffers and all the evidence and information they had to bury him. Simple as that. What's going to happen? They're going to get on that stand. They're going to get on that stage, you guys. And they're going to bury Diddy under that stage. They're going to bury him. All of these people. All the people that was with him and around him, they're going to snitch on this dude. And the judge is going to allow all of them to remain anonymous. The only one that stood forward and put her name forward was Cassie. She said, I'm going to testify under my own name. I don't care. All the rest of them, anonymous. They don't want their names to be, because you know why? They don't want to be known as snitches. And trust me, you better believe Diddy's team is itching. They want these people's names put out there because they want the pressure on these people to not be able to testify because the streets won't let them testify and be snitches. Because if the streets knew that some of these people were snitching, if I owe you, then I'm at your spot making it even. Shit, you better believe that. This thing, I've told y'all this. Y'all don't want to listen to me though.
Further, the accounts of the non-statutory victims and those of the statutory victims corroborate each other. This corroboration, together with the detailed proffers of each victim's anticipated testimony, is sufficient to satisfy Rule 104's low threshold for reliability. Now, I imagine the defense would say, how can we challenge this? You didn't give us enough time, and did we even have ample time to talk to Combs about this? Again, you're throwing this all on us before we go to trial. By the way, talking about Combs' response to the defense, so in total, the government argues the court should allow these alleged victims to testify, but we got one more thing. We actually have a reply from Combs. Combs' counsel argues that the government is doing a bait and switch. At first, the government said, oh, this evidence is very different. But then when Combs' counsel challenged it, now the government says, wait, this is actually direct evidence of the crimes that Combs is charged with. And they double down on the argument they made in the previous filing for why this is substantially prejudicial and it should be inadmissible. That the government knew about these alleged victims for a long time, that it should have explained a while ago why it was relevant and admissible, and they accuse the government of springing all of this on them, surprising them all with this, that it is impossible for them to competently investigate and prepare for a trial that will include this new evidence. And that is especially true, they argue, because in RICO, or racketeering cases, Combs, like other defendants, there is a need to be specific and particularized for the defendant. They have to know what these allegations are. And if these new allegations are probative of the racketeering charge, the government would have had to say so earlier. Quote, the redacted are not direct evidence of the alleged enterprise, its purpose or means and methods, or the charged pattern of racketeering activity, nor is this evidence necessary to complete the story of the crimes charged or prove the context in which the charged crimes were committed. Although uncharged acts can be introduced to prove a RICO enterprise or pattern in certain circumstances, the allegations about redacted are not probative of either element here. They largely involve unknown or unidentified individuals, precede the charged conspiracy, or differ in kind from the commercial sex acts that are charged in count 1, which does not allege rape. The government does not have free rein to introduce any uncharged conduct it desires in RICO cases. The government's evidence must be limited to the particular conduct charged. If it looks like a duck, walks like a duck, and quacks like a duck, then it should be treated as a duck, regardless of what the government calls it. The proffered evidence is mere propensity evidence in sheep's clothing. That's what the defense wrote. And Combs reiterates a lot of the same arguments that we mentioned before. Now, look, if this evidence is admitted, I do feel confident to say that this could delay his criminal trial because according to the Combs team, they will need more time to properly prepare.
Man, I believe it will be entered, and I believe that this case will be delayed for probably about 2 years. I've always thought that this case would be delayed for about 2 or 3 years, and I think Diddy's going to sit in jail, sit in jail, and he doesn't want to sit in jail, but I believe he's going to have to sit in jail. And I believe the bad part about it is that it's more charges going to rack up, man. I believe more charges going to rack up, bro. I believe more deeper investigations are going to be done, and all these people, I think they're going to be added on to charges. That's exactly what I think is going to happen, you guys. I'm telling y'all exactly what I think is going to happen. If they allow this, Diddy's lawyers, it depends on Diddy. Diddy's going to either say yay or nay. It's going to depend on how he feels, if he really wants to sit in jail all this time or if he wants to go ahead and get to this trial. But this is going to be, I'm telling y'all this, bro. This situation, they got snitches, bro. They got snitches, bro, who gave detailed proffer agreements. So when you think about this type of stuff, man, bro, it's going to be hard to overcome that. They give evidence and detailed proffer agreements. You got rats that's giving this type of stuff up. People that was with you or people that was around you, people who was involved or people who may have just been victims. But when you talk about proffer agreements, that's so these people cannot be indicted themselves later on. That's to save their ass. So that's why I think Diddy wants this. And now you're talking about his son, and they're saying Cuba Gooding Jr. is missing. What they're saying, man. I'm telling everybody right now. Bro. Wow, man. I'm at a loss for words, you guys. Seriously, truly today, I'm at a loss for words about this whole situation. This situation right here has blown my socks off, man. And I got more stuff that I'm hitting y'all with today too. Matter of fact, you guys that are in the chat room right now, y'all, I want y'all to do this. Click that link that I pinned at the top of the chat and subscribe to my other channel, because I have content about all of this stuff that I'm going to be putting out on my other channel. I'm going to be putting out detailed content on my other channel about this and other information. So y'all click that link. That's to one of the videos on my other channel. And make sure y'all do that right now. And press 1 in the comments if you guys have clicked that and subscribed to my other channel. Matter of fact, let me put a link in there right now. There's a link pinned at the top. That's to one of my other videos that I just put out. But also let me put a link to my actual other channel in the chat room. That channel is almost at 70,000 subscribers. So make sure, a lot of you guys are not subscribed to my other channel, man. Let me put that over here. And all you gotta do is look under videos. I don't have lives over there. All you gotta do is subscribe and then look under videos. That's all y'all gotta do. And I'm gonna have probably 3 or 4 more videos on that channel today about different things about this and other things we got going on. So y'all make sure y'all subscribe to that other channel as well, man. That my other channel, I have detailed information about these other things that are going on. That's the link right there. That's the actual link to my other channel. It's pinned at the top of the chat room. All y'all gotta do is click that link and go subscribe to my other channel, and then look under videos. You click under the videos part, and then y'all gonna see it right there under the videos. All right, salute to everybody that subscribed to my other channel, man. And I have more videos coming out today. I have another video coming out probably in about, I want to say 30 minutes. It's going to be another video that's dropped on that channel. And there's one that was I dropped last night on the Russell Brand situation. Now, for you guys who don't know what's going on with Russell Brand has been accused of sexual assault and R-word. This is the guy on the left-hand side of your screen, Russell Brand. He has been accused of that, and they're still allowing him to speak at a Florida college this weekend on Saturday. He has been charged, not even accused. He's been charged with 4 counts of R-word and sexual assault. And they're still allowing this dude to speak at a college in Florida on Saturday. Think about that now. Think about that. And so we touched on that on the other channel, but make sure that you guys subscribe to my other channel because I have more information coming on this Diddy case on my other channel and other situations as well, like this Russell Brand situation. You know what I mean? So a lot of people, he's getting a pass. A lot of people not talking about him, but you know what I'm saying, because he came on, they say he changed his life and stuff like that, but he still has been charged with these crimes. Now he's supposed to be innocent until proven guilty, or unless proven guilty, and he claims his innocence. But you know what I'm saying, he's been charged and he's gonna have to go face court on this to see if he's gonna go to prison or not. You know what I mean? So that's real right there. You know what I'm saying? That's real. And y'all remember what Suge Knight said about the egg test too. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy how Suge said that about the egg test, and then this dude got an egg in his hand. Like, come on, bro. You know what I'm saying? With y'all boy beside him. And so, yeah, y'all make sure y'all click on the link. I'm seeing everybody subscribe to my other channel. Oh, and let me shout out the people who send donations to the Cash App. I've seen a couple people. Hold on. Let me shout y'all out real quick. Tawana, salute to you. I appreciate you. Angelia Palazzolo, I appreciate you for the donation. Karen Wells, you subscribe to the podcast show. Yeah, y'all subscribe to the podcast show too. Salute to you for subscribing to the podcast show. I appreciate you for that. Let me see. Who else is? Jamel, salute to you. I appreciate you for the donation and the Cash App. You came through $25 donation in the Cash App. JB, salute to you, man. Appreciate you in the Cash App, man. Yo, I told you my NBA videos. I do all those on the other channel, bro. On my live stream channel, not on the channel I'm putting right here. This channel I'm putting right here, you guys are gonna see. I got more videos coming today on that channel. So y'all make sure y'all subscribe. That's link pinned at the top of the chat. I'm gonna have more videos coming up surrounding this situation and other situations as well. So make sure y'all subscribe to that channel and lock in. I got a lot of information that you guys don't see. So y'all who wonder where all my other videos and stuff are at and where my content is at, it's on. I don't put all my information content on this channel. I have my other channels that I do my other content on, but this channel that y'all subscribing to right now, this has all of these other types of content that I have that's going to be on there. So y'all make sure y'all subscribe to that channel. We trying to get that channel to 100,000 subscribers as well. So make sure y'all subscribe to my other channel, man. Salute to everybody that's tapped in. Y'all already know what it is, man. Share this video, like this video, subscribe to my other channel, and I will be on my other channel. So I'm gone. Peace. All right, you guys. So we appreciate everybody that popped in, supported this video. Make sure that you guys shop our merch. We got that new A-Weapons merchandise right there below this video. All you got to do is look below. The links will be pinned at the top of the comment section as well to get the merch, to donate, support the channel, and subscribe to our podcast show. You'll see all those links pinned at the top of the comment section of this video. And we appreciate everybody that supports this channel and our networks. Also, that straight drop weight loss formula. Go to the website. You guys will see that. A link for that will be pinned at the top of the comment section as well. Go right there for all of your weight loss needs. Straight drop weight loss formula. We have a lot of testimonials on the website. You can go to www.str-8-drop.com and get you some of the weight loss formula today. Take your weight loss serious. Get in the gym, work out, exercise, and do what you got to do to stay on point. We appreciate everybody that's been locked into this video. Again, all the links are pinned at the top of the comment section below. Salute to all of y'all. And again, we appreciate everybody who support What we doing over here?